Partnerships are at the heart of what creative placemaking projects are all about. Creating effective local projects is always about more than just naming the project allies. True community impact comes from building projects based on coalitions with mutually understood values and effective methods to design and implement community-driven, arts-based strategies. Through partnerships, we can better understand and be relevant to a community, bring complementary skills and resources, tackle larger tasks, collectively take on risk, achieve greater impact, and create more sustainable, long-term responses. Partnership basics. It's important to think about who's on your team. In an Our Town grant, you will already have a government agency and an arts organization. Perhaps it's already an established relationship, or maybe it's a new one. Nevertheless, these tips will help set up a strong partnership. 1. When initially working through ideas for projects, conceive of partnerships with their long-term potential in mind. Projects will end, but relationships can be sustained for many years. 2. Think extensively about the types of partners you invite to the table, especially cross-sector individuals and organizations that can offer new perspectives on projects. 3. Make space for creating shared goals, values, and visions before writing grants or starting the main project. Reflect together at the onset about what your partnership can achieve. 4. Set up regular times to check in, evaluate partnership tasks and roles, and find ways to clarify and improve communications. 5. If the partners come from very different professional sectors, designate an intermediary who can help to translate across differences of professional language and methods. It's also important to think through these questions. How will you unilaterally or collectively make decisions? What resources, experience, and relationships does each group or person bring to the table? What assumptions might each partner have about what others can deliver? What kinds of power dynamics exist? Partnerships are susceptible to strenuous power dynamics related to money, experience, political clout, and more. Early on, discuss the roles of each partner to give everyone a mutual understanding of what each partner sees as their responsibilities and how they fit into the project. All partners are bringing something to the table, and it is important to recognize and respect each player as a significant part of accomplishing your shared goals. Let's hear from Allison Orr of ForkLift Dance Company and her colleagues in Austin, Texas, on what can happen when a strong partnership with mutually defined goals can look like.
For over 20 years, we at ForkLift Dance Works have been making dances primarily with city employees. So we've worked with the fire department, the sanitation department, the power department, the forestry department, and on the night that our project with forestry premiered, the head of Parks and Rec looked at Chrissy and I and said, "I think you need to do pools next."
We designed with the Aquatics Division a multi-year project in 3 different East Austin neighborhoods. In 2017, we did Bartholomew Swims at Bartholomew Pool, where we really told the story of kind of the infrastructure, the aging infrastructure of Austin's pools that the workers are have to deal with. And then in 2018, we were at Dove Springs Pool and really looked at who's in the pool, who's swimming, who's taking swim lessons, who's on swim team, and sort of told that story more of the community. And this summer, we'll be and in 2019, we're working at Givens Pool, where we're really looking at the long-standing history of, it was really the second pool kind of built for the Black community in Austin during segregation. So we're really looking at that history and the kind of community around it. We had created a project called the Trees of Go Valley with the Urban Forestry Program of Parks and Recreation, and after that project, after that performance, the director of Parks and Rec said, "Will you please do pools next?" And so we started looking at pools and the issues around pools in Austin.
My park, my pool, my city, and this section of it, I guess, focusing on the pools is all about, to me, it's about using art and dance and the collaboration with the community and the city of Austin in a way that brings everybody together and brings the community together, and actually everybody learns from this. So it's about bringing awareness to what goes on in the parks, what goes on with the swimming pools here at the city of Austin, and then, you know, it's people like me who aren't involved in art and creative placemaking so much. It's been an educational, you know, it's made me so aware of something that I never was aware of before. So, I mean, to me, it's about community. It's about learning. It's about what we have, what resources we have dealing with my park, my pool, and my city. That being here at the city of Austin, but the story that we tell here about the city of Austin could be any place in the United States. You know, so that's, I mean, it's bigger than just here in the city of Austin. This is what we're doing is, hey, this could be your town.
So with every city department that we've worked with, I have been struck by how overworked people are, by kind of the impossible job that they're chasing, and how underappreciated they feel. It's sadly a really common story. And so for Christy and I think really the first step is really learning what the day-to-day was like for Paul, Tap, and Juan and their fellow staff and the lifeguards, and Jody, the director of aquatics. Like, it was our job first to understand, which is why the job shadowing is so important. And then the next was through the performance to really help the audience get in digestible bits what their lives are like.
Well, we really started with our partner, with the Parks and Rec department and aquatics division, and really wanted to learn about their needs and listen to where they, you know, where they are. What I think with every community we work with, we ask them, you know, what story do you want to tell? What do you want people to know? And so I think we started with aquatics on that, and then started working with their staff, both maintenance workers and lifeguards, and then started looking, you know, also looking at who's in the pool and who's using the pool and what's in the neighborhood nearby, what's the place like. So really, I think really looking at reciprocity is a central part of our process. So really looking at we're making art, what is our partner, you know, what are they doing, what do they need?
Dove Spring Swims was much different than Bartholomew Swims. Bartholomew Swims talked about the infrastructure of our pool, of Bartholomew Pool, and how it went down and then came back to be this new pool. It also talked about the maintenance personnel, and it told that story. Where Dove Springs came into play, it went into the community aspect much greater than Bartholomew Swims did. So it was really, I mean, we were in it, we played a role in it, so did the lifeguards. But this told the story of a community, and that community is a very strong community. You know, I mean, I learned a lot about that community from being involved in the process, things about that community I never knew. I met people in the community that I never knew before. And I've been working in this business for a long time, since I was like 13 years old when I started. I've been working around these pools for a long time. And I met people that I never knew in the community. And what we learned about that is that how passionate they are about their community and how passionate they are about Dove Springs Pool.
We want to go to where the community is and meet people where they are. We work alongside them as much as possible, and we're really learning, I think, the culture, the values, the language of that community, whether it's a job or a place or, you know, or just a collection of people. We're really learning about what, you know, who they are, what's important to them, and kind of embedding ourselves. When
Allison and Chrissy and the whole ForkLift team, they came and said, hey, we want to shadow you. We want to see what you guys do. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be great. We get some people to ride out with us. We were really happy to have them, you know, because it gives us a chance to showcase what we do. And I think they were in awe at how fast we move. We go from place to place to place to place to place. and we service these pools, and sometimes we have to make repairs on the fly. And so we like doing that kind of thing, and it gave us a chance to do that, which we don't get to take riders out in our vehicles too much because it's a liability and stuff. But these guys, they got a chance to do it, right? So it's like, all right, we get to show Chrissy and Allison and ForkLift around, and then we actually put them to work painting pools. And so when it's hot, it's 100 degrees outside, and you're painting pools, and you're inside a white pool shell. You can imagine it's like being on a snow-topped mountain, except the opposite. You're in a shell with no wind. You don't feel the wind. You just get that heat, and you're painting a pool white. It's they got to experience that. Let's put it that way. So that was really good. And they got credit. They got the cred for doing that, for coming into our world, and we're like, okay, y'all are part of us now.
We really figured out, what we want to do at ForkLift, I think, is set up an opportunity for people to show their authentic selves. So when Christy and I figured out that we could choreograph swim lessons into the show, that we could just let people float on their backs, that would be success, that we didn't need some fancy swimming section, that this community might not be, the folks using the pool might not be virtuosic in their swimming ability, but they were virtuosic at connection. That we could show that, because that's really the story of this neighborhood, of what they had to do to really come together and advocate for every single thing they got in that neighborhood, to take their neighborhood back. We just wanted to support them to show that. Then we were on the right track.
We learned things that we didn't know about each other before, because again, it took us out of our day-to-day, we're checking and servicing these pools, we're repairing these pools, we're doing this, to, hey, let's go have dinner together. Hey, we're making this performance, which is out of our normal role, right? Okay? And somehow through that process, we became closer friends, and the way we work together now is like, we understand each other. We've been able to meet each other's families, and you don't always get to do that when you work with somebody. But this, since so much of it happened after hours, our families wanted to be a part of it too. So my family knows the other person's family, and it's brought us all together, and that's huge. My wife and Juan's wife are now friends, and Tap's wife they're all friends now. And what brought them together? This show, this project, ForkLift, and this whole collaboration. They wouldn't have met each other just if we just did our day-to-day job. So, that's just one example, but that's an amazing example, I would think, right?
Taking on this really ambitious 3-year project in different neighborhoods, we knew we were going to have gaps in our knowledge and experience, and so we wanted to gather community leaders and pool advocates to really help us through the process. So we created what we called the Citizens Advisory Committee, and we have different neighbors. Each neighborhood we go in, we have different people kind of add into the committee, and it really allowed us to enter the neighborhood with integrity and with connection right away, and really served as a focus group for us. We could run things by people, see what they thought, and also then in turn also promote the project and just get more people involved.
It's been such an honor to work with Aquatics now 3 years. And I almost never want to go back to the one show model, because we really needed a show to get to know each other. Like Jody didn't really figure us out until she went through the process with us. And now that she and Paul are saying, we can't imagine you not being around, what a wonderful thing.
Also, when we think about engaging and collaborating with communities, there's really not one way. We're really doing it in many different ways, and that this work, building relationship, takes time. It can take a long time. We try to give ourselves at least a year to do a project, and luckily with this pools project, we're going on 3, almost, it will be 4 years by the time we're done. So the quality of relationship there really reflects and contributes to the quality of the work and the artwork.
Be open-minded. The creative process through these performances can actually lead to bigger and better things that you might not even see right now, but it can help you.
For me, it's really important to be open when I go into a process, to kind of enter in as a novice and beginner and be ready to learn. Every time I do a project, my assumptions are changed. I always carry in some kind of assumption about something, and it's always blown out of the water, or I get more information, or it's totally different. So it's really, I think, important to go in to be ready to change.
As artists, when we walk into rooms, particularly as outsiders, just remember that it's not about you personally. And that I've had to tell myself, like, the doubts I've gotten, both in Dove Springs and now in the Gibbons neighborhood, I mean, and at the fire department and the sanitation department, every place we've gone, aren't about me. Is Allison good? That's not what it's about. But this is an odd thing. And so just slow down, don't take it personal, and you know, be open to change and listening. But we as artists, we are needed. Our skills are desperately needed by cities. We know things go better when we're around, but I think it's important not to feel defensive and to really, you know, be curious and open. And we are needed as artists. People just don't necessarily, they may not know that yet. So we have to give them time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Do Creative Placemaking. We hope you will also visit our website and download the companion workbook, which provides more detail and worksheets on this subject and more. And we will hope you will join us next time for Digging Deep, Methods to Understand Your Community.